Hey everyone, it's Daphne and I'm back to continue working on the Prima Pretty Pale mini album, the 8.5 by 8.5, and the previous video covered pages 1 through 4, and I'm going to start here on page 5. And as we did on the previous page, I'm going to add a piece of twine. Actually, that doesn't go here, that goes here. Okay, a piece of twine to hold this page closed, and because I attached this one toward the top, I'm gonna do my next one toward the bottom. And I need two pieces of about 10 inches. And that's probably longer than you need, just it's easier to trim it after you get it in and tie a bow so you don't wind up being short. So I have to pause for a second because my dog needs something, and I'll be right back. All right, so like I said before, I've got two 10-inch pieces of twine, and I'm gonna offset the bow to be toward the bottom on this page. So I'm gonna go ahead and lay one of these down, and then I will close the flap and look for the natural meeting space between the two. And it looks like right about there. Actually, I'm going to raise that up a little bit. It's a little low. So if I'm eyeballing it, I'd say about the third mark. So a third of the way up or a third of the way down, depending on which side you're working on. And then I'm going to put the other piece straight across. And I'm just using the twine as a guide for the placement on the opposite side. Let's see how I did. Just need to straighten it up. Okay, there, it's in. Okay, so now this will tie right here. So like I said, on the other side, I wanted to mount the string on the inside so that when you pull on it, you're naturally opening the flap instead of pulling on the mat that sits on top. All right, so here is the main mat that is going to go in the centerpiece here, and I'm dry fitting to make sure it's all trimmed right and it looks good. So I'm going to get some glue on, and then I'll take the double face tape off and get this put down. And I am working on page 5. So we are in the middle of the book, page 5. A lot of times the way I design is I actually design from the middle out. And that's what I did with this book as well. Is I designed these two pages, how the flaps would operate, and even designed the floral clusters, this one and this one, that will go on the outside flaps first. And then once I have my centerpiece inspiration, it seems easy for me to work my way back out. All right, that is in. I didn't really want to grab right there, so I'm going to tuck this under and put a little bit more glue. I must have missed a spot there. Lovely, lovely. Okay, and so the outside piece is going to be this, and I want to point out that I had used that washi tape that I had mentioned before, and I would show it to you if I had it handy, but I don't. It comes with 3 rolls of washi tape as part of the package, and I don't know where I've laid it, but it's a dotted one, a striped one, and then this one is actually like a measuring tape. It's hard to see in this light, but hopefully you can see. It's adding a little bit of copper texture here, and this just adds some interest. And I set it apart because the design element that I'm going to lay on top is actually going to lay right there. So that is what I have done. And this one's ready to lay down. And I want to make sure I've got my orientation the way I want it. I think I wanted this on the inside, but it can really go either way. And I think I like it this way. So get my glue on and get this down. And we're well underway for page 5. There we go, that's in. And again, this is going to be a design element that I layer here, but I'll come back and do that when I add my other design elements. This one's in already because I actually adhered it to the panel. It's not on a separate piece. In retrospect, I like doing it on a separate piece because it allows me to futz around and move these design elements right up until the last minute. When I put it on a panel, I'm pretty much committed. So if I had it to do again, I probably would have put this cluster on a separate piece that I could shuffle around until I was happy with placement. Okay, I'm just trying to burnish the edge where the twine goes under the paper. And then this is the piece that I'm going to put here. And my design choice is either this or this, and more grid is just a little bit too much, so I'm going to use this side. And I'm going to check it before I lay it down. And if it's all right, get off my double-sided tape. And I was standing and I'm sitting, and I know when I do that it changes the volume, but I'll try to speak up a little bit so you guys can hear me. Okay, I'm going to put the shiny side toward the outside of the flap. It's just very eye-catching. The white edge toward the center, it's just softening it. Your eye is naturally drawn to the edges of the paper, not to the crease. So I always want to put the design element that's most pleasing toward the outside or edge. Okay, that is in, and this will tie to close to keep this closed. And for those of you watching, you probably have noticed over time that I am left-handed, and that's why my bows always look upside down. When I tie it in its final configuration, usually I turn my book upside down so that the bow will actually be right side up when I'm finished. And what I mean is my tails always want to go up. Because I'm left-handed, and try as I might to reverse my bow, I can't seem to get it. All right, curse of left hand, I guess. Okay, now you're going to start to see some of the design elements repeat. So here is the page that has the dual flips up and down. And this is the one that we used a magnet to keep it closed. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab a couple of magnets. Be right back. All right, I had to stop for a second and deal with my dog and also get some magnets. So I just want to show you where I placed the magnet. So it's much the same as previously. I placed one on the top flap and then positioned the second one on the lower flap. There we go. So with that, I'm going to double check the size of my main mat, and if it doesn't require any trimming, I'm going to get that laid down right away. A little bit of tape there I was grabbing. And that looks really good. So I'm going to go ahead and lay down this main mat. And I chose a very subtle pattern for the base because I'm putting a little more of the design element on the flap. So when I close the flaps, I want this to look nice and simple. And there is some words on here, so I'm looking for orientation. And it looks like the words are either going this way or this way. And I think I want to leave this design element toward the spine. So I'm going to turn this so I can see these two edges before I lay it down. And of course now it's completely upside down, so I'm turning it right side up. And now I got to do the designer paper planning for the flaps. So, oops, actually I'm upside down. I did that wrong. Now I'm right side up. All right. Okay, so I have these dots on this page. So I want to pull those dots into the design, but I don't want so much of it. So I'm going to have it be the flap that's beneath, like so. And then this is going to be installed like so. So now I am making a decision for the top flap, and I think it's this one, yeah. I had to kind of go through them again real quick to remind myself. It looks like, for whatever reason, it's not trimmed right. So it looks like I need to take off about 1/8 of an inch. One more. I'm off today. Pardon me. I need to clean the glue off my trimmer. All right, that looks right. Okay, so I am going to add some glue, clean up my workspace. I got too much stuff in front of me. Add some glue and get this panel down. And my dog just walked back in. Hey, Nala. She finds all kinds of things to get into in my craft room. Things I don't even remember I own. Next thing I know, I turn around and it's in her mouth. Just like a toddler. All right. Okay, that's in. I like it. I'm liking that. Okay. This is going to go here. And double check. It needs to be trimmed down a little too. I gotta apologize. I just... I gotta stop trimming in the dining room where I can't see. A little more. I think that'll do it. Yes, that does it. Okay. Okay, looking good. Okay, now do the insides of these flaps. And I have a couple choices. So this definitely goes here. And I think I like this. So this will just be a nice muted photograph space. And I will come back and add some embellishments to these simple papers, and it'll be likely to be stickers or die cuts. There's tons of die cuts in their packages. I think you get 25 or maybe even more die cuts per pack, so you got a ton of them to work with. All right, this is good. Get my tape off and get some glue down. Okay, and so this is page 6. Page 6. 7 is really simple. It's just a pocket page. So we just have to lay down two mats, and we don't have to deal with any fasteners. And there's tons of journaling cards with this collection too, and they come in 2 sizes. This is the larger size, which I'm featuring throughout this design, and I'll use lots of these journaling cards to fill my pockets toward the end. But I'm also using them as design elements on top of the pages as well when I come back through the second time to add embellishments. Okay, let's double check, make sure it fits. It's too tight. There we go. I like it. I have all these tiny slivers everywhere now. Okay, let's see. My book is upside down. This has words on it, so I want to make sure my orientation is correct. And the print is so blurry, it's hard. But I believe it. This is right side, and if my book is upside down, it needs to go this way. Okay, there we go. Now let's turn everything right side up. And now we're on page 7. And like I said, this is very simple. This is just a pocket. And I'm gonna double check my trim. And I could probably take a little off. Just a smidge. Let's see how that works. Oh, I like it. Excuse me. Okay, now this is the top panel, and it's going to slide slightly behind it, and then we'll remove the tape. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over so I can see this leading edge. I'm going to double check the width. And it looks right. And it is. Okay, so I'm happy with that. So I am going to go ahead and put it down. Well, it's a good thing the art glitter glue is going to start shipping again soon, because I'm just about out. As soon as we get it back in stock, we'll send out a note and let you guys know. So if you have not already subscribed to our website at www.scrapandcreate.com, that is our shop where you'll, if anything you see me building, you can purchase there, including some of the staples like the glue. And if you are subscribed, when we get things in like the art glitter glue, which doesn't ship all year round, but when it comes back in, I can let you know by sending out a notice. And if you're subscribed, you'll automatically get it. In addition to getting information about new products that are available, we will also, you also get notified whenever we have any new content on YouTube or our blog, so that you can go take a look at any some of the inspiration. Okay, that's it. That's page 7. Okay, page 8, same as page 1. Simple flap and a mat. and that's the inside liner. So we're gonna do the same thing. Hopefully I've got enough. Yes, I do. We're gonna use a twine to hold this shut, just the same way we did it in the front. So 2 pieces of roughly 10 inches, and then you just go back to trim. And it doesn't have to be twine, it can be anything. It can be a ribbon. I just didn't have any ribbon that I thought looked really good with it. The white is almost got a blue tint to it, so it was hard to find something that matched, and cream doesn't go with it at all. So I thought if anything, I would go for an offsetting color like twine, so which I think picks up the browns very nicely. All right, looks like I need to trim just a little bit off this edge. And that should do it. And yes, it does. Okay, good. So that's good. So now I'm going to make sure this one fits. It does. Okay. So I'm going to set that aside because we know we're going to put our twine here and here. And I'm going to go back to the front and see where I put the bow. Right in the middle. That works. I like that. Let's keep it simple. Get these little bits and pieces out of the way. I need some tape. And I like the nice fat tape. Hold it in place. So I'm not measuring, just eyeballing about halfway. The only thing that matters is that they line up. And of course, if you have a design element, you don't want to run a bow across the front of it. And I know I'm going to work around that. So, but if you're planning on putting a photo or something there, you might want to consider where the bow is going to land when it's tied. Okay, there we go. That's in. Ta-da! Okay, I'm going to set the liner aside. This is the piece that goes here, and of course, the minute I set it aside, I can't remember what goes up and what goes down. I think this was the inside liner. Yeah. I think I was going to go pale on the inside. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. It's coming together. There it is. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get the outside panel put down. I said panel, matte. So one of the things I want to point out about this collection is it comes with 12 by 12, A4, and 6 by 6. So you have lots of size choices when you pick your pattern paper. I do also want to point out that only the 12 by 12 features the foil. So the other two form factors, like for example the A4, even though the pattern's the same, the additional stamping of the foil is not in the collection. So it's only in the 12 by 12. So the 6 by 6 and A4 do not have any of the foil. Some people, that's a good thing. Other people want that foil. And I kind of like both. I like both. I'm going to go ahead and lay this down. As soon as I get my tape up, I'm going to rotate my book so I can see these 3 edges. And I have to remember, that's right side up. This is the bottom. Okay. Okay, lovely. And then I'm back to lay down my last piece. And it goes in like this. Yeah, and I might have to stand up to get on top of it. It's hard to see all the edges. All right. Okay, let's get this tape off. Okay. I want to press down firmly on the tape and then also the glue that's around the twine. Okay, so now that is going to close and I'll have a bow here. Alternatively, a single piece of twine and a brad on the other side that you could just spin your twine around would hold it closed as well. I just happened to be out of brads. That was what I was thinking of initially. Okay, now I'm going to do the back liner. It looks like I need to come off the edge just under a 1/4 inch. A little more. Okay, that's getting very close. One more sliver. Okay, that's it. Let me get some glue and get that down. I gotta make sure I keep my twine out of the way. I don't want to accidentally glue my bow closed. Okay. And here we go. And that is in, and it looks lovely. Pretty happy with that. Just using this to burnish a little. Okay. All right, so the inside is now complete. And so what I have already done, and I did this offline, is I did all the page inserts. So the page inserts, I used the A4 pad, and the A4 pad has 5 sheets of each design. So you get a total of 30 sheets, which is really nice. And because it's slightly over 8 inches, it's 8 1/4 roughly by a little over 11 1/2. Each sheet you can use to cover the whole insert. So I chose 4 of the same design for front and back. And I'm going to go ahead and slip these in. And I just trimmed them to fit. And the insert is 1/8 of an inch smaller than the pocket page. So the insert is 7 7/8 by 7 7/8. And so this little lead will be what hangs out. And I think that looks very nice. When you're finished, you'll have just a 1/2 inch that sticks out. And the reason you have a 1/2 inch is because when you adhered the page to the spine, it takes up a 1/2 inch off the 8 by 8. And that's why you have this leading edge. Okay. Just adding the inserts to the pockets gives the overall book so much more structure, because you're adding essentially 3 pieces of cardstock, right? So there's a mat on either side plus the base, so it's really heavy. It makes it feel very substantial. Okay, and then this is the last pocket. And again, I did this offline, and they are, the mats are 7 7/8 by 7 7/8, and then I took an 1/8 off 2 of the 4 sides to come up with the mat. So it's a 1/16 of an inch. And there is how it looks when it cascades down. I like the look of that. So the next thing I'm going to do is add our cover and our spine. And I chose the copper lines. I like this, and the way I centered it was the coppers in the middle with the 2 browns on the outside. So this is the strip that you'll see toward the center of the spine. And then this is probably my favorite page in the collection, and it's the floral with the copper stamps on it. So I think that's really pretty. So this is going to be my cover, and I'm going to add some embellishments to this, but this is basically the cover. So now I have to decide here's my orientation. So here's my stems, and that's what I was looking for. What goes down and what goes up. There's my roses going up. So this is going to be my orientation. I just did a rough trim and set the paper aside so I wouldn't accidentally consume it inside the book. So I do need to trim it to fit. And I always do my trim to fit for my covers toward the very end. And I don't do it based on a measurement. I actually do a tick mark, because when you wrap your book, you're adding some dimension, and you can never get it right if you just measure. If you just take, so this is an 8.5 by 8.5. If I just took an 1/8 of an inch off, it wouldn't be quite right, because of the nature of the spine and the curve, but also because it's wrapped. So I just use a tick mark and trim these to fit. I don't typically go over this element, and I've been getting an increased number of people asking me about the cover. So I'm going to walk through this. It's a little tedious, although having said that, I had to retrim a lot of pages for you guys in the whole project. So now I'm real happy with my borders. So I'm ready to lay this piece down, keeping in mind that that's the top, and here's my stems. Once I get these on the cover and the back panel and the spine, I'm going to stop the video, and my last video is going to come back, and I will go over all the embellishments on the inside. And I'm actually going to videotape placement of those embellishments, and also videotape, I'm going to do a floral cluster on the front of the book, something I don't normally do. So when I get to that, for those of you viewing it, if you go all the way to the last video, to the embellishment phase, I would love to hear some feedback on your thoughts. If it's helpful, or if you just want to see the finished product and the walkthrough in that. Because it is a lot of effort to tape and edit those fussy parts. So if it's not interesting, or if you can get the gist just by watching the walkthrough, I'd like to hear that. But if there's value, I'm willing to do it. Okay, so that's on. I'm just rubbing it to make sure it's grabbing everywhere. I'm going to go ahead and do the back. And I've chose this same stripe as what's going to go on the spine, and I'll wind up embellishing this too. So now I'm just going to lay it down where I want it, and then put a tick mark where I need to trim it on top. That looks like about right there. So okay, lay it down again, see how I did. The light keeps shifting. It's making it hard for me. Got a lot of shadows to deal with. But that looks good. I'm going to lay it down. All right, that is in. And then we'll do the spine, and that will be the outside of the book. And then the next video will cover all the embellishment layers inside and out. And so this needs to be trimmed a little too. You can hear my dog tinkling in the background. Her chain makes a lot of noise when she's walking around, which is good because it's almost like having bells on. Otherwise I wouldn't know where she was. Whoa. Okay. Brown, brown. Let's do it this way. Okay. Okay. So there's our cover, our spine, and our back. And like I said, I'm going to come back and add embellishments to the front, back, and spine. And I'll do that in the next video. So thanks for tuning in. Again, this is Prima Pretty Pale. And there'll be one more video to complete the project. And then, of course, there'll be a walkthrough as well. So thanks for tuning in. And we'll wrap this up in the very next video. Thanks. Bye.